Season 2, Episode 4 of the Dugout Dad's Local Sports Podcast, where our skills are questionable,
but our spirit is unstoppable.
I'm your host, Michael Hughes, with my co-host,
Jonathan Parker.
Welcome tonight to the hallowed grounds, I guess you could say here.
Hole.
The hole at Smith County High School. We are live tonight from inside Owl Stadium. We appreciate Coach Dyer and Smith County High School for letting us come on site here tonight for this week's episode, Jonathan. And we better start with thanking our sponsors. We want to thank our sponsors. Our title sponsor this year, once again, is Kobe McKinney with Underwood Realty. Hashtag Hollies and Be the Gift for our Player of the Week segment. And Infinity Promotions for our backdrop and our tablecloth you see here in all of our apparel.
Right. We appreciate you guys. Michael, what a beautiful afternoon. We're trying something new. We're trying, different spots in the county to do our show. And man, what a beautiful afternoon. Winds blowing, it's warm, just a nice fall afternoon.
It is it's what I like to call a fake fall afternoon, right? So it's a fake fall afternoon.
It's
right?
going to get hot next week.
Yeah. So you look at the temperature here tonight. It's probably around 70 degrees. It's a perfect night for being outside and doing 71. Mr. Enyart says so. What a night to be here, and once again, thank Coach Dyer for letting us come on site here and do it here. Like you said, just do something different, right? Move around the county. We always want to thank Acapulco Grill for letting us do it out there, and then No Bells once again, for letting us be there last year. But we're just trying different things here.
With the weather's nice like this, we want to be outside. It gives us an opportunity. Sometimes it gets loud in the restaurant, so this gives us an opportunity to kind of branch out. Let's see how this works. Maybe a permanent spot for us. We don't know.
Yeah, what a night, what a week actually for football. We look at Friday night and all the weather that was happening in the area. Not a lot of rain happening. Lightning though. Lightning. Like Smith County had 5 lightning delays while we're sitting here trying to finish out the game, and they made a decision to move it to Saturday night. And then Gornsville down at Fayetteville had would y'all have Mr. Enyart an hour or two rain delay there? No rain, lightning delay once again. And credit to the TSSAA for trying to keep everybody safe, but I really wish they'd shrink that lightning area down just a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right. And Michael, for me, and I'll be interested to see what Coach Dyer has to say about this. I wonder that's like when you have you have halftime, which is normally 10, 15 minutes.
Yep.
And then what's it like for the coaches? What's it like for the players? I'm interested to get his perspective and maybe Coach Gammons as well. When you have a delay like that, the players are at the end of the game and then you don't know. It's a sit and wait scenario. And I want to find out what they do in the locker room.
I can give you firsthand experience when Coach Gammon comes on here in a few minutes that we went to Cumberland County and waited 2 hours. So he can give you a firsthand account of that. Then coming into last night too. And our guest tonight will be Smith County Middle School head coach John Mark Gammons and Smith County head coach Matt Dyer on the show tonight. But Jonathan, a little bit of recap before we get going here. If you want to hit the scores, and we'll recap scores, and we'll talk a little bit more.
So some scores of interest from around the area. You had Cannon County with a 61-0 drubbing of Pickett County. Clay County goes into Jackson County and beats them 20-9. Friendship Christian with another huge win for that program, 28-3 over Mount Juliet. Lebanon, 27-0 win over McGavock. Chuck and his staff are really got those boys playing well from everything we've seen. They're unbeaten. Liberty Creek, who's Gornsville's opponent next week, beat Sycamore 28-7. You had Trousdale County playing Thursday night. They beat Robertson Innovation School 55-6. Westmoreland, who Smith County plays this coming Friday night, beat Red Bull 36-0. And of course, our 2 middle school teams, Smith County beat All Good 40-0, and Gornsville Junior High beat Hartsville 28-6. And touching on that game, I did watch that a little bit and was kind of surprised because I kind of thought that Trousdale County this is that 8th grade freshman class that they've got coming in is supposed to be really talented. And man, Gornsville played a really sound football game the other night against Trousdale County.
They did. They played well, but if you look at Trousdale County though, they dropped. They was 8th grade heavy last year, and the team they took and won that conference championship over there. They was really 8th grade heavy, and those guys are already contributing as freshmen on the high school team. Not to say Trousdale's still not talented, but Gornsville looked like had a good game plan come out and run the ball pretty well once again with Caden Potter, who right now is kind of being an unstoppable force for them, right? For everybody they played so far, nobody really wants to tackle Potter.
They don't, and that's the thing is and we saw it here against Smith County. It was like nobody wants to hit him. Nobody wants to get down there, and he runs hard. I will give the kid credit. He runs hard. And, at that age, I don't know that I'd want to hit him.
No, you don't. And, flipping up to the high school level, Smith County, unfortunately, takes a loss this week. They come out Friday night and playing a really, really clean ball game to start out, right? They're up 17-6 at halftime. They get the ball coming out of the half. All the momentum is with Smith County. And then they get the lightning delays, and then they cancel or move the game till Saturday night. And, we'll talk to Coach Dyer about this in just a bit, but, they take one on the chin last night.
Absolutely.
Livingston come back, and I think Livingston was really hyped up last night. And they take one on the chin to lose that game 20-17.
Yeah, and Livingston comes out. They only score 6 on Friday night, and they come out, hold Smith County to no points, and then they come out and score 14 themselves. So, be interested to see kind of a tough 2 weeks there for Smith County, against Clay County and now against Livingston. So you got to get the ship righted sooner rather than later.
Yeah, flip on the other side of the river, Gornsville goes down to Fayetteville and gets a pretty convincing win down in Fayetteville with a lightning delay there as well. And they go down and I don't know what the final score was there.
42-12.
42-12. It was a very close game to start out. And then Gornsville kind of just took over and kind of run the ball pretty well. But the defense actually stood up for Gornsville. Mm-hmm. Cruz filed a couple of interceptions to help Gornsville on the back end of their defensive secondary to help them kind of win that game. And, Gornsville down a couple of players and some other players stepped up. The kid that come out of the cab that moved over to Gornsville, the Summers kid, had a great night running the ball.
Mm-hmm. And, prayers go out to one of the Gornsville players that got injured. I think they had to take him off, but I think all the signs and reports that he was okay. And so prayers out to him and his family. So pretty sure he'll be back sooner rather than later as well.
And then Gornsville plays who does
Gornsville
have
plays week? Liberty Creek
this week, which is
it's a step up in
classification. And we'll see how Gornsville does against them. But moving on to the college ranks, just talk about our beloved UT Vols for a minute. They're at home this week against a very, very outmatched ETSU team. You can see from start to finish, Tennessee goes down and scores like in 4 plays on the very first possession, right? They ends up winning 72-17. The most points ever scored by Tennessee in the AP era.
Yep. Pretty impressive, stat. It's one of those, get right games, get a lot of your younger players acclimated into the game. You had Aguilar come in there and throw for 288 in the first half. Again, it's a very unmatched ETSU team. They no size, don't have the quickness, and there was a lot of players that was running wide open, but saw a lot of really good things. I mean, you get the Matthews kid involved. That's a real highly touted wide receiver, comes up with a big, touchdown catch there at the end of the first half, and saw some good things in the second half as well with some of the younger talent. There was a wide receiver. I think his name is can't call his name right now. It's the one. Is it Richardson? Not Richardson. I can't think of it, but he made a couple of good catches in the second half. That's a freshman, 5-star kid. So, again, a lot we will find out. Tennessee's 2-0 this coming week against Georgia.
Georgia
week.
To town.
And we're going to find out just what Mr. Aguiar is about. And, again, looking at the Nico project in UCLA, it's beginning to look like that was he cost himself a lot of money.
And I would say that there's not a Tennessee Vols fan alive that ain't happy that he's went 0-2.
And I saw a tweet that said UCLA is getting a lot of viewership now because they're getting a lot of the UT fan base watching him struggle. And he struggled against UNLV.
He did struggle. The chance to go down and tie the game, and it's crazy that, he's on the West Coast. So, we get to watch a little bit of that after the fact that
right.
Tennessee plays and all the other SEC games are done for the day. And he goes down and have a chance to tie the game and throws just a devastating interception at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But, hey, more power to him. He can lose them all for all I care.
That's right. It's farewell, Nico. It's the Aguiar area at Tennessee.
Yeah, and moving on to NFL kicks up this week.
Yep.
Now, NFL kicked up this week. We won't hit the Cowboys game much. I know it's probably a sore subject for you.
Okay.
We won't hit the Cowboys game much.
We played good. We just come up short on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and the cheerleaders, my wife grew up wanting to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, so, she always pays attention to the cheerleaders there. But you look at the NFL did crank back up this week, and I told a buddy of mine on the phone, I am a college football guy through and through, and it's just hard for me to watch NFL. The product they put on the field for me, I mean, we'll talk about it. I think it's good, that we do have it, but it's just hard for me to watch. And local score here: Tennessee's down 20-12 to Denver with 3 minutes and 50 seconds to go in the fourth. Um,
I am a pro fan. I grew up a Cowboys fan. Grew up in the '90s with the triplets, and I've never could get on the Titans ship. It's just people like, why aren't you live here? Why aren't you Titans fan? I just, I bleed blue on Sunday, and that blue is Dallas blue, and we did take it on the chin against the defending, Super Bowl champions Thursday night, but really good ball game there as well, and really excited. I saw a lot of good things out of Dallas. We've still got to figure out a few things with Dak, and he had a chance there in the fourth quarter. Got 2 possessions, kind of went 3 and out once, and ended the game there again. Kind of got a couple of first downs, but in the end, come up short again.
Yeah, well, NFL's back. Everything's back now,
Yeah,
so
football's back.
Football is back. We're going to swap gears now. We're going back to the middle school ranks. We're going to bring in head coach of Smith County Middle School, John Mark Gammons. Coach, you want to come in and join us? Come right on in. We'll, as I mentioned here, watch that little thing there, but we'll bring Coach in and we'll talk about a little bit of last week's matchup against All Good and where the season is, how's it going right now, and what's going on with the middle school.
It's going good. It's we sort of expected this, and it's bad to say. You don't want to say that you expect anything. You got to take 1 week at a time. But our kids knew what came back and what we had, and this was their goal from the get-go, is to take care of business week by week. And we've done that so far, and I couldn't ask much out of this group. Last week against All Good, we had experienced another rain delay like we did Friday night, about an hour, and I told these guys, like, listen, that this All Good team just beat an Aver Trace team that in years past has been really good, which Aver Trace is down a little bit compared to normal, but they're going to be ready to play, and we've got to be able to handle this adversity coming into after this weather delay, and we did. I mean, there was no doubt on the field, and with a big week ahead, and our focus is there, and we're ready to take on the week.
Yeah, and we've talked about this and we laugh about it because we went to Cumberland County and we had a 2-hour rain delay, and then we'll talk about that in just a couple minutes. But then we go to All Good, have a 2-hour rain delay. But we figure it's our uniform combo, right? I think that's what we finally figured that out.
It has to be, and I know in years past, Coach Reed has always kept it white on white and black on black, and I'm like, I like different uniform combinations, and I'm like, let's go white on white and white on black, excuse me. And at both of those times, it has been a rain delay. So I said, no more. We're gonna go white on white, black on black, and that's it. So
Coach Gammons, talk to us a little bit. You talk about the delays, and I posed this question to start the show. Talk about what are the struggles there when the unknown of when you're going to start, or there is a big delay. What do you do in the locker room? What do the kids do? Kids these days have short attention spans. We know that.
Absolutely.
So kind of touch on that and talk about that for a little bit.
It's tough. And just speaking on Friday night's delay and also ours as well, one of the big things is the anxiousness that you see with players. And you're hyped up to go, and I can speak from experience myself. You're ready to go. You're ready to play. You're ready to leave it all out on the field. And when you tell your guys, hey, you got 30 minutes, and next thing you know, 15 minutes later, well, we got another 30 minutes, and it's really difficult to keep these guys focused in that because they're so ready to go out there, and completely understandable. But it's a struggle to keep those guys patient. And just sticking through it. And especially, too, it's fatiguing as well. Like you take Friday night, for an example, we have all the momentum in the world. And, unfortunately, Saturday night, it's a brand new day, and Livingston has a new spark of energy, and they come out and beat us on Friday night. And it's the same thing there. Like you're just hoping that your guys can keep the same mentality as they started with beforehand and after the delay as well. And it's hard. It's hard on us, especially when you don't know if you're going to play in 30 minutes from now, or if it's going to be 2.5 hours from now, or if it's going to be 23 hours from now. It's just, it's definitely a struggle for sure.
And you talk about momentum. It doesn't matter if you're talking about Pop Warner to the top level of professional football. That momentum is key. And if you lose that, it's kind of hard to gain it back.
It is. And last night's a good example. It's just whenever because and two, through that you get the other team time to adjust. If there's something that we were doing to them, in the first half, and they say, well, they were doing this. Well, now we get this time to adjust, and it also benefits that team as well, more so than it does us. It actually, I think, hurts the team with all the momentum than the team without it, because they get the time to readjust and do those things. And fortunately for us, that wasn't the case in our middle school games, but you can definitely see that last night in the middle or at the high school level with us in Livingston. So,
And Coach Gammons, the last 2 weeks you've gotten started off really fast, and I know that's one of the things that you preach to these kids: getting off to a quick start, fast start. You're scoring, really early in ball games and getting the other team behind the 8 ball.
And that's crucial. And two, in middle school, and I've learned by coaching middle school over the years, and even many wise people telling me, like, it makes a difference at the middle school level. You get up 2 scores, you will see the other team start to panic, and not necessarily with the coaching staff, but you see it with the kids. It's like, oh boy, we got to figure out something now. And the faster that we start, the more confident that our guys get, because you can see our players, they play with confidence. Like when we go to Livingston and we're kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit, they start to freak out a little bit.
Right.
But whenever we get ahead, our guys play so much different. They play so much faster. And sometimes it's a blessing in disguise. I mean, you can see in certain games as well that you get too fast in a hurry, then the other team can just, like Gordonsville a few weeks ago. I mean, they really took the time off the clock in the first half there for a little bit. And you're sitting there in a 14-6 ball game, and they got the ball, and you're thinking, shoot, all they got to do is take their time, because they're getting 4 or 5 yards a pop and put it in the end zone. We're in a dogfight. So sometimes, no, you're good.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And sometimes it hurts us. It can hurt you, but it's sometimes going to benefit you as well.
Yeah, talking about the all good game, me fortunate enough to be a coach on your staff too, and get to see it firsthand as well. We go to all good. You can tell that we're kind of outmatched all good. I was looking at a little bit of the stats here. Talking about Colton Jenkins, probably had the best passer rating ever. 1 for 1, 16 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you can get better than that.
You definitely can't.
But if you look at it, we carried the ball really well the other night. Joe Santonio had 5 carries for 147 and a couple touchdowns. Jaden Agee had a carry for 20 yards. Bryce Benary had a carry and a touchdown, and a catch and a touchdown. Colton, had a couple carries and a touchdown. And then Titus Russell comes in and helps and has a couple. But I look at the defensive side of the ball, where we're actually taking these games and kind of winning the defensive battle of these games. Offensively, let's be honest, we've talked about it, and we'll talk about the gauntlet this week in just a few minutes. But we've not really been tested offensively. I don't feel like offensively. We've not scored on only 2 possessions on the year, right? But talk about the defense just a little bit.
Yeah, the defense is really come about, and we try to keep it as simple as we can for these guys. Like, we don't just have a crazy amount of calls, and we don't have a crazy amount of stunts and coverages that we do, but that's just to let these guys play free. And I feel like by doing that, they've been able to play free. You can see up front. I mean, we're holding our gaps. We're doing good there. Our backers are feeling, and they're doing an excellent job. I mean, I can't complain. Whenever averaging, I think our opponents, they may average somewhere between 11, 12, something, maybe even lower than that in points, and you can't ask for more.
Yeah, I think if I figured it up, it's under 6 points a game.
Under 6 points a game, so you can't ask for more, and especially with some of the guys we got on the defensive side of the ball, and for us, that's a lot of our offense too.
Yeah.
Some of those guys you're talking about, Justin Antonio plays a big role. Colton Jenkins plays a big role. Bryson Maneri, Titus Russell, and up front, you've got Clay Driver, you got B. Hughes, you've got all of these other guys that are playing both sides of the ball, and then there's some that's not. But it just shows. It goes to show you how these guys compete. The fact that, and granted, it's not like high school football where we're playing 48 minute game. We're playing 32 minutes, but it's still fatiguing. You still get wore out, and the fact that we're able to buckle up and make plays defensively as well as much as we are offensively, it just shows. It tells you a little bit about how competitive this group is.
And you look at it too. We're 4-0 in the season, but we've not played a team yet that's not outnumbered us 2-1.
No.
And that you look across the field when we're playing, and you look across the field, and you're like, golly, man, just to have that many numbers would make our team even better than it already is. But we just don't have that.
Absolutely, and that's the toughest thing, because you ask a lot out of some of these guys. You have, once again, like the ones I said, they're having to play both sides, and you look at the other side, and they've got 40, 50, sometimes even 60 guys compared to our 26, and it's very And that goes back to how we prepared ourselves in the summer. And we really emphasized making sure we were in shape. And Coach Hughes, you can attest to this. We did what we could to get these guys prepared for the gauntlet that they were going to have to go through, knowing that they're going to have to play as many reps as they're going to. And I think that that's shown the way we played on the field.
And Coach, talking about a gauntlet, you got 2 games this week, correct? And of course,
And so I interrupt you. I was Coach Jenkins correct. We're 5-0 on the season, not 4-0. My bad. I apologize for that. But go ahead, Coach. My bad.
But talking about that, of course, it's homecoming week Thursday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you play against Macon County Thursday here, and then of course tomorrow night you go to Upperman, correct?
Correct.
So touch on those 2 games. Talk about the difficulty of having 2 games in a week, and what to expect.
It's really difficult to get your guys' focus span on 2 games because you're going from a team tomorrow night that does nothing compared to a team that you're going to see on Thursday night. 2 different styles. You got a team that's going to spread you out more on Monday night, and then you got a team that's going to bring it in and just hit you with power and counter the whole entire night. And it's just keeping our guys focused and also keeping them healthy, making sure that they come out of both games healthy because we got more in mind. But to get to where we got to take care of these 2 games. And so tomorrow night, when the game's said and done, we got to shift our attention in a day to Macon County. And Macon County's, people have seen them. They're definitely the around this area, they're kind of known as the expectation of what you want to be. And they're getting there to the middle school and the high school level. And that's what we're trying to get to as well. And we want to prove what we're doing here is getting to that point. And I feel like, we've got the guys to keep up with the horses, but we've got to keep our focus span. We've got to be ready to play even tomorrow night. We got to be ready to play no matter who's Upperman has played so far. We still got to go out there and take care of business. And we got to put the 5-0 aside, and we got to take our mentality that we're 0-0 and we got to go 1-0 on the week. So
yeah, we talk about that a lot. And every coach that I've read, and I'm sure Coach Dyer does too, and I know you guys here. We talk about going 1-0 on the week. Next week we got to go 2-0.
Absolutely,
it's the first week that I've ever been a part of a program. That you go and you look at it, and you play a gauntlet with the 2 best teams you're probably going to face on our season all year long, and you got to go 2-0 next week,
Absolutely.
right? We're looking to go 2-0, and you're right. That quick turnaround, it don't matter what level it is. You play probably a pretty physical game. We'll play tomorrow night, and then you get Tuesday, Wednesday, and back at another physical game Thursday night. That's even to the middle school level, it's going to be tough on the kids, especially when we have so many play both ways.
Mm-hmm. And it's just the main thing is making sure that between tomorrow night and Thursday night that our guys remain focused and just coming to play with the same intensity we've been playing with. And I've told them this. I was like, the most physical team is going to win, and as long as we can stay physical each night. And make sure keeping our guys, keeping them healthy and keeping them prepared for both of these games. I like to see how our guys respond just to the, and let's go back a little bit. You can think, the first 5 weeks, Gordonsville's probably our toughest competition. We haven't really seen a team other than Livingston. And even Livingston, I felt like we were better than them. We just kind of come off the bus, not focused. But, we haven't really had to struggle. So I'm really curious to see whenever, an Upperman team that hasn't been in the fold with the playoffs, they've got an opportunity tomorrow night to set themselves up in the driver's seat to have a playoff spot. So they're going to come ready to play. So we've got it. I'm curious to see how our guys respond to another team that's going to be ready to play with the same stuff on the line, knowing we have the same stuff as well. How are we going to respond to when somebody's ready to hit us in the back?
Well, Coach, we wish you the best of luck this week. I know it's going to be a tough week. Both games at 6:30. So they travel to Upperman tomorrow. So go out, support these kids, support these young men, and hopefully we go 2-0 this week.
That's the hope, and if we do that, then we're looking at, and I'm not trying to get ahead because that's not a coach thing to do, but if we set ourselves up there and we can escape 2-0 this week, we're looking at a home playoff game here in a couple of weeks. But we got to take care of this week, tomorrow night first, take care of Thursday night, and then take care of Avery Trace after that, and then we can get to talking about that. So,
absolutely,
Coach, we appreciate it. We appreciate your time tonight.
Yeah, thank y'all. Appreciate y'all having me on, and I always like watching y'all. I love sports podcasts, so I really like watching y'all and listen to you guys talking about the kids. So,
thanks, sir.
Yes,
we appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
we talk about Jonathan too. You look at the middle school guys and the youth league, but you talk about middle school just because I'm directly affected by this. But they want a crowd here, right? And next week we play here at home. It's homecoming. It's Macon County. It's one of those games where it's going to determine playoffs, right? Get out here, guys. Get out here and watch these young guys play. And I promise you a good show.
Absolutely.
I promise you these guys will put on a good show for you. Come watch them. Be supportive, and they like people in the stands for them too.
They play a very up tempo, quick, up and down the field games. They're exciting to watch for sure.
Well, we're going to shift gears here now, and Coach Matt Dyer has come into the fold. We're going to bring Coach Dyer on, and we'll talk a little Smith County High School football. Coach, come on in and join us tonight. Yeah. Once again, we appreciate you coming on tonight, and appreciate you letting us be here in the hole. Something we want. I was sitting there thinking around today. We're looking for new things to do and bring a little more different aspects to the show, and we appreciate you letting us be here tonight.
Shoot, yeah, man, this is awesome. I like those backdrop. Y'all had that the last couple of times?
We had it last week.
I'm not used to looking behind me or seeing y'all, but no, I like it. It looks great. This looks great, and like I said, y'all do a great job. And anything I can do ever help y'all. I mean, y'all help me out, and y'all just let me know. And I think this is pretty neat having here in the stadium. I think like Coach Gammon said, listening to the sports podcast and Coach's Shows podcast, man, those are pretty neat things when you hear that, especially the back and forth. But yeah, I just think it's awesome that y'all do stuff like this. So I'm always willing to help anything y'all want to do.
And we definitely appreciate it. But, let's go ahead and get into Friday night's matchup, not the outcome we wanted. We look like we had two different ball games, right? We look Friday night. We come out and halftime at 17-6. All the momentum is on the home side, right? The momentum's here. The crowd's into it. The kids are into it. And you're up 17-6. You get the ball coming out of the half, and then here comes a lot of delays. Delay after delay after delay. And I know Coach Barker he's going to ask you this question too. But, talk about just a little bit of – first we'll start Friday night, how that went, and then we'll move over into Saturday night.
Friday night our guys were feeling it pretty well. They were feeling good. They had the juices flowing. They had the little momentum, had a little energy about them. They came out. In that first quarter wasn't the greatest. We allowed them to come out, and I think they had maybe a 5 or 6 minute drive that got them down in the red zone. We had them on a 4th down, and we had another PI. Like we talked about against Clay County, you don't want games to come down to calls like that because you don't need to put yourself in that situation. But once again, from the coach's bias standpoint, I thought it was a questionable call. We should have got the ball, I believe, because it was a poorly thrown ball, and I felt like our guy was in really good position to defend it. At some point, you just got to let high school guys play. I thought he was in good position, so we should have got the ball. Should have been 0-0, and and we answered with a drive of our own. We drove the length of the field, and we scored. We let the clock run out first quarter, and we scored, I think, on the first or second play of the second quarter. So, at that point, it probably should have been 7-0 instead of 7-6, but, coulda, woulda, shoulda. But no, after that one drive they had, our defense really stepped up. We forced them into some 2nd and long and 3rd and long situations. On that first drive, the 5 or 6 minute in the first quarter, we gave up some pretty big chunk gains. We gave up, I think, like 2 or 3 runs of 10 yards plus that allowed them to move the ball like they did. But after that first drive defensively, we were pretty consistent with getting a tackle for loss on 1st down. So we put them behind the chains a lot in the second quarter. And, they started throwing the ball a little bit, and we did a great job on the back end of defending it. And I want to say number 12 had every offensive yard for them in the first half, which I think was 88 yards. He had all the receiving yards, all the rushing yards. And, we were doing a very good job of containing their offense there in the second quarter. And then our offense did a good job of kind of waking up and making some big plays. We were throwing the ball well. We were running the ball well. Riley was making good decisions. Our receivers were running good routes. We had really good pass protection. We were run blocking well. Gabriel Myers had some good runs. Dylan Raines had some good runs. And Caden Mason had some good runs. We ran it down the field. We scored. We got them to punt again. We went down the field. We scored again, made it 14-6. And then there, right before halftime, we was able to put together our 2-minute drill. And we couldn't punch one in the end zone, but we were able to kick the field goal. So Bradley Pickett had a great job. If I was picking a player of the game, it'd be Bradley Pickett 100% because his kickoffs, his punts, and his extra point and his field goal were top notch. He had a great game. I was so proud of him. And Coach Hackett would tell you the same thing. Just proud of that guy and the way he played. Even Saturday night in the second half, he also did a good job. But with him being able to kick the field goal on the fourth and where were we at? It was on the 10.
It was on the 10, I think.
Something
Yeah,
like
something like that.
It was fourth and goal or
Yep.
fourth down. I can't remember. But you know, we had an option to either try to go for the touchdown right there and go 21-6, or you know, if we didn't get the fourth down, we're only up one score. But we kicked the field goal, we go up 9 points. We go up 2 scores, knowing that we were getting the ball at halftime with the potential to go up 3 scores, and that was kind of the plan behind that. But then the lightning hit, the lightning delay came, and we waited. You know, if it had been up to us, you know, we would have waited it out till as long as we needed to. But, you know, that was out of our hands. And so we had to play come Saturday. But, yeah, you know, like you said, tell of 2 halves, tell of 2 teams, and that's what it turned out being. But, you know, as well as we played Friday night for most of that game, you know, about a quarter and a half, we did not play that well Saturday night. You know, way too many mistakes, way too many missed assignments. Leaving too many big plays out on the field, you know, drop passes, wrong routes, bad protection, a lot of things that have plagued us up to this point in the season. You know, things we got to fix, things we got to work on. We didn't defensively, we did not win a lot of one-on-one matchups. Yeah. You know, we stayed single blocked on the defensive front at linebacker. A lot of missed tackles. We had unblocked guys not making plays, and that ended up hurting us in the long run, especially when we elected to go for it on fourth down on Livingston's 35-yard line. Because, you know, the week before against Clay, we elected to punt, and they had the long return where essentially probably should have gone for it because it had been the same thing. And so this week we said, hey, you know, we've had a hard time stopping them this second half. If we get a first down, we can put a nail in the coffin. So we attempt the fourth down. We don't get it. So now they've got the ball at 35. We give up 3 straight runs, I think, of 10-plus yards. And I think they had 5 minutes on the clock when they got the ball to the 20-yard line, and they were able to take 4 minutes off the clock from the 20 to the goal line. I thought we had a good stop down there on 3rd and 1 from the 1. But, you know, unfortunately, they did not rule him down. They allowed him to push him in the end zone, and they scored. And then we had about 50 seconds on the clock to try to put something together, and we just did not make the plays that we needed to make. But biggest thing is, you know, we just we weren't very physical at the point of attack that second night, Saturday night, and Livingston was. And that's just things we're going to continue to work on, things we're going to continue to get better at.
And Coach, I remember you talking about last week. I know you're disappointed in the loss, but I heard you talk about the perimeter guys for Livingston and how they were going to be a problem for you. But you look at their stat sheet, the quarterback was only 4 of 11 for 40-something yards with an interception. So your corners and the back end of your secondary looked like they played a pretty good game.
They did. You know, Coach Harv and Coach Hackett, they had a pretty good game plan to take care of those guys because we felt like those were their best playmakers, number 2 and number 1. And they tried to force the ball to them a few times. And the way that we bracketed them and the way that we had them covered, we took a lot of that away. And I still believe the only completions he had were to number 12, the running back, in the screen game.
That's correct.
And they picked up a first down or 2 with that. And I think they had a 2-point conversion or the touchdown down here on the swing pass that we blew a coverage.
Yep.
Our linebacker was supposed to play in man coverage. He did not, so they had the easy score. You know, once again, that comes down to things. We've got to coach them better on that. We got to make sure that we understand our responsibilities right there. But, yeah, you know, we did not execute to the best of our ability, the best of our level that we know we can. We have faith in our guys to do that, and that's just something that we're going to have to continue to get better at.
And you look at last year, and we don't ever want to look back at last year and compare it to this year, but you look at last year, you know, the competition you face, you know, you go into those games, the underdog, you win the other game, but you're very easily this year, and, you know, like you say, coulda, woulda, whatever, but, you know, you're few plays away from sitting at 3-0 right now.
We are, and, you know, we discussed that in our coaches meeting today when we were game planning for Westmoreland. Something we've got to try to reinforce to our guys this week as we prepare is that, guys, look, you know, at this time last year, and we don't want to keep bringing that up because we always talk about we're here, we're now, we're in present. We're not going to worry about what we did yesterday, what we did last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Don't matter. It's what we're doing now. But we try to tell them, like, guys, last year, you're losing these games by 30 points, and you're letting them get away from you. Like this year, these are all close games. They're one-score games. The 2 games that we have lost up to this point have been last-minute scores.
Yes.
That has put an opposing team above us, and we've been in a position late in the game to where we could put a nail in a coffin, finish the game, and put it away, and we have failed to do so 2 weeks in a row now. So it just got, like you said, we're a play here or play there from being 3-0. Yes, and that's woulda, shoulda, coulda. Or what Coach Harv always tells me is like you're 6 dimes and 7 quarters away from whatever, a fistful of dollars.
Yeah.
He's probably laughing right now if he's listening because he gets it right all the time and I always screw it up. But you sit there and take away a couple of PIs that we have on 4. I think we had 3 PIs on 4th down against Clay. We had 1 PI on 4th down against Livingston. If you take away the scoop and score on Livingston, that they're able to punch one in finally after, Saturday night, we did a good job on defense, forcing them on their first 3 and out. We got the ball right back, and the very first play that we run, they rip the ball out and they score, and gets them right back in the ball game. But little bitty things here and there. You sit there and we get the interception. Rustin Kemp gets the interception, and we throw one right back to him. So we're literally a play here or play there from being 3-0 against Livingston, 3-0 from being against Clay. We're a 4th down conversion away from winning a game, or on both times where we can run out the clock, or at least run more time off the clock to give the opposing team less time to score. But the thing is, we're still fighting. We're giving our guys fighting chances to continue to make plays and continue to be in ball games, and just to continue to kind of face these adverse situations. And we're going to find out how we respond, especially this week. You've had 2 really tough losses at home, and now you're getting ready for another bigger school, a 3A school in Westmoreland. How are you going to respond after coming off a big win against a 3A team in Watertown, and then having the tough loss against Clay, the tough loss against Livingston? How are we going to respond this week? And it's really going to say a lot about our guys and our team. What's our character going to look like? How are we going to face these trials and tribulations that we're going through, and how are we going to respond to these adverse situations going into this week? Are we going to lay down? Are we going to feel sorry for ourselves? Or are we going to put something together to where we can put ourselves in another successful situation to be able to win a football game?
If there's ever been a high school game, a tale of 2 halves, it was Friday and Saturday night.
Oh, definitely.
100%. Go ahead, Coach Parker. I'm sorry.
So, Coach, before I get into my lightning question, talk a little bit about Westmoreland and the challenges that they're going to present this week. Touch on them for a minute.
This year, they're not more of a traditional Westmoreland team from the fact that, they're under center, a lot of their wing tee stuff, they're over sets, their unbalanced sets, wanting to get to the perimeter with their rocket toss or their jet sweeps, or, their trap or their buck sweep. They're mostly kind of a gun power a little bit. They rely a lot on their quarterback running the ball. He's a good athlete. He's got some pretty good set of wheels. He had a good game against Macon County, being able to run the ball. They use a lot of kind of sniffer fullback sets. Some people call it a slot, some people call it a wing. But they're wanting to run power, outside zone, jet, fullback toss. So that they're still got some of the same principles that they have kind of based their offense on in the past, but it's kind of a different look and different feel. They really rely on their running back a lot, the big 44, 42, something like that, that they have, and their quarterback, of course. And then they've got this other wing that they like to run. They don't throw the ball very well, but, most of the games they've had so far, they really haven't had to. I think they lost to the Kentucky team, Greenwood, I believe, like that, 26-6. Macon County, they lost, I think, 35-14. And then they played half the game against Red Bull in last week. So they really haven't put themselves in situations where they've had to pass a whole lot. So mostly what we've seen is their run game and the tape that we got and the film that we got. But they're not a traditional Westmoreland team, so it's a little bit harder to kind of gauge what they're trying to do, what they're going to do. But what we've got on film so far, we've got a pretty good plan put in place. We're going to put our guys in the best possible situation that we can based on what we've seen, and then also how we've performed defensively through 3 weeks of the season.
So, Coach, my lightning question. I asked Coach Gammon this a while ago. What challenges does that present to the coaching staff, to the kids? You're in these unknowns. You you see a lightning strike, you know you're waiting 30 minutes. So
Yeah.
talk about the challenges that brings for the kids, trying to keep them focused. And again, of course, this game didn't end on Friday.
Yeah.
And talk about the challenges of that having to play the next day.
The biggest thing is, just being able to control what you can control, and then being able to relay that to your guys. Of course, to a 15 to 18-year-old kid, they want to try to control everything. I do too. As a 38-year-old coach, I want to try to control as many variables and aspects as I can. But once you start getting those lightning strikes, now those variables are out of your control. So when you go and you talk to your trainer, you talk to your athletic director, you talk to the white hat, and they're saying, hey, restart the clock, 30 minutes, that's another strike, restart the clock. You're sitting there setting the timer on your watch or stopwatch or phone or something. The first one you get down to 10 minutes, you're like, hey, okay, you go talk to your guys. You're like, hey, we've got our adjustments. We've got everything good going. Are y'all ready? Make sure we got liquids. And then your trainer comes in and says, hey, another lightning strike. So now that 10 minutes turns into 30 minutes. So now you got to relay that to your guys. Like, all right, guys, another 30 minutes. Let's try to cool jets a little bit. Stay off your feet. Stay warm, But that's the biggest thing, is just trying to relay to your guys that, look, we're only going to control what we can control. We can't control the timer. We can't control the weather. But we're going to try to be as prepared as possible as we can when that timer stops. When that timer finally reaches 0 and we're supposed to be on the field, we're going to be as prepared as possible by controlling what we can control, not worrying about what we can't control. And so eventually, we were told, hey, that the game's going to get moved to Saturday. That's going to give us the best chance of, everybody getting out of here safely and all that. So now it turned into, okay, what can we control to get our guys ready for tomorrow? So, we start talking to our community members and saying, hey, we want to bring them in the morning. We want to keep them on a routine. Because, that's the thing with Saturday games, unplanned Saturday games. Like I said, a lot of variables that are out of your control. You've got family that already had, like a trip planned or some type of deal planned. Somebody's in the hospital. Someone's family member was, had an accident or something. So we actually had guys like, Coach, I can't be there at 8 o'clock because I had this planned, or Coach, I can't be there because I had this planned. Coach, I can't be there because I'm in the hospital, or, those are variables that are out of your control. So you can't dwell on them. You can't worry about them. So trying to relay that to a 15-year-old, to an 18-year-old kid, it's hard. Okay, especially when you're in the locker room Friday night and you're constantly having to tell them we're not ready to go because they're chomping at the bit. They're up by 2 scores, and they're ready to get back out there, and you're literally having to pull back on that chain. Like, hold on, guys, the clock is reset. The clock is reset. Continue talking with your position coaches. Continue talking with your coordinators. We'll let you know when we can get out there. And then when you tell them, all right, guys, the game's been postponed to Saturday. Of course, everybody is a little deflated. Like, man, we was ready to go back out. I was like, guys, we'll see you at 8 o'clock. We'll come in. We'll feed you. We're going to make sure you wake up so you don't stay in bed all day. We're going to watch some film. We're going to do a walkthrough. We'll get you back. Oh, an ACT. There was an ACT test on Saturday, too.
Oh, okay.
We had guys that had to go take an ACT test. Like I said, things you can't control. One of our starting secondary receivers couldn't come to walkthrough because he had taken ACT. You can't control that, so you can't let it affect you. But anyway, so you get them in, you get the walkthrough done, you got them fed, something's in their belly. Like, all right, guys, y'all can go home, go watch film, take a nap, do whatever you got to. Be back here at 4 o'clock. At 4 o'clock, we'll start our regular Friday routine. Okay. Normally we do a team meal at 3:30, and then 4 o'clock we come back to the field house. We start getting everything ready. 5 o'clock we start taping with our trainer. And then 5:55, we're on the field for specialties, warm-up, stuff like that. So that's what we did. So we tried to keep everything as relatable and the same as possible so there was no distraction, so it didn't feel different. But that was our plan going into it, just try to eliminate your uncontrollable variables and worry about what you can control and what you can't control. That's what you're always trying to do with 15, 18-year-old kids. And 38-year coaches.
and Coach, you brought up Bradley Pickett a few minutes ago, and Bradley Pickett actually was our Dugout Dad's Player of the Week this week.
Yeah, I love it.
And we talked to Coach Gammons about, was talking about, because you look at it, you always look for those. You look for people who had the most receiving yards, who had the most rushing yards. But as Coach Gammons, mentioned as well, he had some great kickoffs, he had some great punts, and then the field goal, and at this level, you get a kid that can kick field goals in high school. That's a weapon.
It is.
So congratulations to Bradley Pickett for being the Dugout Dad's Player of the Week, and Coach, you'll just celebrate him just a little bit.
Yeah, he's a guy that works at his craft. He comes out and he kicks the entire practice. So we're practicing for 2 hours, and he kicks that entire 2 hours, whether it's working on his field goal. He'll move it from hash to hash. He'll change the distances. He takes great pride in what he does, and that's all you can ask about for a kicker. Someone that takes pride in what they do. And then he'll work on his punts. He'll work on his kickoffs. Him and Coach Hackett, they'll get together, and Coach Hackett will say, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? And he's like, I'll try. I'll work on it. And, he'll sit there. So far, he's had some really good kickoffs on Friday night. He don't have the strongest of legs where he's going to put it in the end zone, but he's gotten a lot better of being able to place it where he wants to place it. So Friday night, he had the 3 kickoffs. I want to say he had the squib kick he couldn't have performed it any better, that I think that got down to their 15 or 20 yard line.
Yep.
That's essentially the same as kicking in the end zone. They get it to 20. That was a greatly executed kick. He had the 2 pooch kicks, the sky kicks, what are you going to call them, that landed, I think, on the 35 and the 30, where they had to either fair catch it or they couldn't return it. So, those 3 kicks, that's able to flip a field right there. And, I go back to the decision I made of not punting when we were on our 35, I believe. It was 4th and 5. And, he's shown that he's pretty good at putting it in the corner. He does have a decently strong leg on punts. For a high school punter, if you can punt the ball 30 to 40 yards, that's a pretty good punt. And he's around a 30-yard average punter. So, if we're on the 35 and he can put it in the corner, we could have been looking at maybe pinning them on the 10 to 5 yard line. But, my biggest thing is I kept thinking about last week against Clay. It's like, hey, we punted it, put it in the hands of our defense, and we give up the 20, 25-yard punt return, and they basically returned it to our first down marker, where it's like, all right, hindsight, we should have just went for it. If we didn't get it, we've been fine. But right there, we sit there and we throw the interception, and they get the ball in the 30 or 35. It's like, so we sacrificed 20 or so yards on deciding not to punt for it when he could have put them on a 10 or 5. Instead, they started with it on the 35. But like I said, that's woulda, coulda, shoulda. When you start second guessing yourself, that's when you get in trouble. But when
you get it in plus territory there, it's kind of hard to not go for it.
It is, and like we were throwing the ball well. We threw for well over, I think, 250 something yards, and we were working our sticks pretty well, and we thought we had a good matchup with their boundary corner down here, and kid make a heck of a play. Only play he made all night was the play when he needed it. And that's what you want. You want your playmakers to make plays when you got a chance to. But yeah, Bradley, he had a heck of a night. Every facet of his game, he performed just exemplary. His extra point, his field goal, and then his punts, his kickoffs, everything was great. And he very much well deserves to be the Dugout Dad's Player of the game.
Yeah, well, congratulations to Bradley. And, we're just moving on to our Ask the Coach segment this week. So we actually got a pretty good question tonight, is when it comes to lightning strikes and the TWAA, what is the range and how are they doing that? Are they using a weather app, I'm assuming, or how's that work?
There's different apps that they use or measuring techniques that you use. I know our trainer, Lee Rice, was telling me there's some type of app that costs lots of money that, our school system could probably invest in, that all sports could use. It just makes it more accurate. Him explaining to me was probably like an algebraic equation. I was just like, hey, yeah, that's great. That's awesome. I see it right there, but hey, if it's right there, yeah. But no, the thing is, if it is within 10 miles, they have to suspend all outdoor activity. So if it's 10.1 miles, you're good to go. But if it's anything 10 or less, they've got these little bubbles around on the apps. And it's like if there's a single lightning strike inside that nearest bubble, that's a 10-yard or 10-mile radius, you have to suspend activity. But, I don't know what all the apps are. I don't have the app on my phone, but our trainer had one, our athletic director, principal had one, the white hat had one, and they were all three had them out measuring. But as soon as there's a single lightning strike within 10 miles, TWA policy is, suspend all outdoor activities. And that's unfortunately what we had to do.
Well, before we let you go, Coach, we're going to bring on a new segment of Dugout Dads, right? We think about everything, how to make our show better, and me and Jonathan and Matthew with brainstorming the other night. We come up with this with this Beat the Dad segment, right? So it's going to be a football pick'em.
Okay.
Right. So we want you and Coach Gammons involved in that. We're going to send out a sheet every week and let's do some picks. We're going to pick our region games for the week and who's winning, who's losing, a few college games, and then our Titans game will be our tiebreaker.
Okay.
But we want to bring you guys into that. And Jonathan, if you want to elaborate a little more on that, you can.
Well, you know, back in the day, the Courier used to have the pick 'em every week. It was the newspaper.
That was fun.
That was fun. I remember doing that as a kid, and so we're going to do that. We're going to each week we're going to have a sheet. We're going to have you know, we're going to give out a $20 gift card to a winner. That's a Beat the Dad. If you beat us, you got to beat us. You get your name put in a hat. We're going to draw it out. We're going to have, like Michael said, we're going to have the 4 region games. We're going to have some college games, and then of course the Titan will be the tiebreaker total score. So just something fun, that a brainstorm idea that we had, and so look for that this week. And we're going to bring in if our players of the week are here, we're going to have them have a pick.
Yep.
And so we're just trying to come up with some fun ideas. So
yeah, man, I missed that in the Courier.
Yes,
that was awesome.
that was
I filled one out every week.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't think I ever won one.
I think I won one.
I don't think I ever won a single one.
I don't think I did either.
I did it every week.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
It's like playing a lottery, man. When you don't win, you get mad and you're like, man, how did I not win? It's like that coming, you know.
But we're going to bring that in, you know, something we want you involved in and Coach Gammons involved in, you know, something just to have a little more fun in the show. But Coach, once again, we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate everything you do for the Dugout Dads. Once again, you know, letting us be here tonight in Al Stadium and doing this. It's a pretty cool atmosphere just to do it at different locations, and appreciate what you do for our show and coming on every week.
Yeah, man. It's nice weather for it right now.
Yes.
It's freaking September and it feels like October. That's beautiful. I love this weather right here. But no, man, I appreciate y'all guys, everything y'all do, covering all sports for Smith County, and you know, allowing my slap tail to come out here and talk, be obnoxious and talk a bunch of gibberish, you know. But no, I appreciate you guys and everything y'all do.
Thank you
for us guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Good luck next
Good luck
week.
this week, Coach.
Go 1-0.
Appreciate
Yes,
you.
sir.
Good luck to you, sir.
Appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all.
But you know, Jonathan, you know, talking about that just a little bit, you know, like I said, we appreciate Coach Dyer, but the Beat the Dad segment, it's going to be pretty fun, right? We want to bring some excitement, a little bit of fun to the show here, and guys, we'll put that out on our Facebook page, and we'll get Matt to join in with us there, and it'll be myself, Matt, and Jonathan, and Coach Gammons and Coach Dyer. You got to beat us, right? That's you got to beat the dads and the coaches, I guess. You got to beat us. And then if multiple people beat us, we'll put you in the hat and we'll do a drawing for a $20 gift card. And we're gonna compile all the winners, and at the end of the season, we're gonna do a drawing for a $100 gift card.
Absolutely, yes. So, you know, stay tuned. You know, we're unsure how this is going to work. We're on the fly here, but I had that idea this week, and I just thought, you know, I remember when the Courier had the pick 'em, and it's kind of all the area high school games, and I think some of the college games. So just an idea that I had, that we just want to make this exciting for you guys. We want to build this show. We want to, you know, we're out here to promote our athletes and all of our student athletes, not just football, you know, not just baseball, not just basketball. You know, we appreciate all of the sports. We appreciate all the kids, all the coaches, you know, both athletic directors at the schools, you know, and so we just want to give back to you guys. So stay tuned this week and watch our Facebook page. We'll get it out there.
Let's flip over to talk about Gainesville just for a couple minutes before we end out our show. We'll talk about Gainesville going down to Fayetteville, going down and getting a big win against the Fayetteville Tigers. You know, Tigers versus Tigers. Right? Every time they kept saying the Tigers, you know, it's like I was watching on NFHS. And they had the Fayetteville broadcast, and of course, Pat and the guys do the Tiger Booster Club broadcast too. But I flip back and forth. Well, I'm you know, my producer Matt, if you can't see him, is throwing his hands up at me. And the reason why, because I'm in my bedroom watching on Apple TV, and NFHS is on my Apple TV as an app, so that's why I was there. I usually do watch the Gainesville.
Matt, I was supporting you. I was watching.
I do watch the Tiger Booster Club broadcast as well. So Matt and those guys do a great job over there doing that. But you know, they go down, they take care of business, 42-12. And then now they come back home. They got Liberty Creek this week. But you look at Gainesville, and I feel like on the defensive side of the ball, they've done a really, really good job of holding Fayetteville, because Fayetteville has some electric guys. You can tell that they had some speed on the outside, and their running back was pretty good. But Gainesville defense did a pretty good job of holding them out.
Well, and Fayetteville had put up several points in their first 2 ball games. So I was kind of shocked that they didn't put up any more than 12 on Gainesville. You know, testament to their defensive effort that I was expecting a more high scoring ball game from Fayetteville on that.
Yeah, and you look at some of the stats here. You have a transfer in out of DeKalb that comes into Gordonsville. JT Summers, who has a pretty good night, almost 90 yards rushing, and then Turner Booker once again has almost 70 yards rushing. So they're down a tailback with Jamario being out. So they're doing it looks like a running back by committee, and Lee Skurlock has a touchdown run the other night, and I have 7 or 8 kids that actually have carries. And then on the receiving side of the ball, you had 7 or 8 guys that had a receiving, So Jay Foster had a pretty good night, 10 of 19 for 165. So he had a pretty good night throwing the ball. But the defense really, really showed out to me how they actually took care of business and held Fayetteville from doing anything on offense.
And it looked like to me that Fayetteville was able to maybe get some yardage on the ground, but they held them to 53 passing yards. Still only had a total of 223. But you look at Gordonsville, and Gordonsville is balanced right now with they threw for 208, or no, I'm sorry, they rushed for 208 and threw for 165. So that's when you're getting that type of production out of your passing and your running game, teams can't just focus on one aspect, and they made what looks to be, I wasn't there, did try to watch some, but they made Fayetteville one-dimensional. And right now, Gordonsville is not a one-dimensional football team. They're getting it done on running and passing.
Well, you look at it, too. They're 150 total yards more than Fayetteville has, right? So, 150 yards, that's a lot of offensive compared to what the other team has. So, once again, congratulations to Gordonsville. Once again, Coach Jackson and his guys are doing a great job over there. As long as they stay healthy, we talk about it again. It's the first year, and I don't know how long that Gordonsville Smith County is going to be week 11, which kind of the week 10 or game 10 of the high school season, which is week 11. But we hope both teams are healthy, and that's a region championship game there at the end. But congratulations to Gordonsville, and good luck this week against Liberty Creek. And if you want to talk about the player of the week for Gordonsville, go right ahead.
So our player of the week for Gordonsville is Cruz Fry. Cruz had two picks. They played really good on defense. So congratulations, Cruz. We still need to get over there and get the others their shirts. So congratulations, Cruz.
Yep, congratulations once again to the Tigers, and good luck to you guys this week. But Jonathan, so episode 4, season 2. Once again we're here in the hole at Smith County, and man, with nobody in the stadium, we're not competing with anything, but man, it's cool to be in here, right? It's cool to have the show in here, and this is something we may do more than once.
It's comfortable out here. It's nice.
We're not competing, and Matt Enyard's down here, and he's got his own little table. He is a coach too, I guess he is. Yeah, he's a coach too. So he's down there. But, once again, thanks to Coach Dyer for letting us come in and do it tonight. And once again, our sponsors, we want to thank our sponsors. We always got to thank our sponsors. We couldn't do what we do without our sponsors. Kobe McKinney is our title sponsor with Underwood Realty. And then our players of the week for hashtag Hollies and Be the Gift, and then Infinity Promotions once again for our backdrops and our banners that we do here. So we couldn't really do it without our sponsors.
Right. And, thank you to all them. And Michael, I'd be remiss, still not region games yet, but they're getting close.
They're getting close.
Both our local schools are stepping out of again. You've got just looking at the schedule this week, you got Community at Cannon County, Liberty Creek comes to Gordonsville, Red Bull and Springs at Jackson County, Trousdale goes to Macon, and of course Smith County travels to Westmoreland, just looking at our region. So, some exciting matchups there. You got the Trousdale Macon game, which is always
it's always a little rivalry there. Yeah, it's kind of a battle there. They got a border battle there, and they really don't like each other.
No, they do not. And so we're getting closer to those region games starting up. And so I'm really excited about this coming Friday night. I'm really excited that we're able to be here tonight. So again, Dugout Dads we're rocking and rolling. I'm having fun.
I'm having a great time. We want to thank Matt Enyard too, who produces our show every week. He does a great job. He's behind the scenes there. One of these days we're going to bring him up here and let him talk for a little while, because I know he can talk just as much as we can.
But who's going to run the computer?
Well, I guess I'll run the computer and let him sit up here.
Because I'm not doing it.
Actually, he can run it from up here probably. But once again, we appreciate that. Come support the local middle school games this week. Middle school's got 2 games this week as well. We go to Upperman tomorrow night. We're here at home for homecoming against Macon County Thursday night. So come support those guys.
And who does Gordonsville play this week?
I don't know Gordonsville's middle school schedule this week. I do not know. I didn't look before we came. But good luck to those guys as well. But so for the Dugout Dads for episode 4, season 2, where our skills are questionable.
But our spirit is unstoppable.
Until next time.